Hello and welcome to the Success Secret podcast with your host Hussein Talib. I am excited to introduce you to a series of conversations with some of the most successful and inspiring individuals from various industries. My aim is to dive into the stories behind their success and explore the knowledge, strategies, habits, mindsets, and wisdom that have propelled their success. Each episode of the Success Secret podcast will feature a different guest who will share their unique journey, the challenges they faced, and the lessons they have learned along the way. I will also be covering topics from entrepreneurship and innovation to leadership and personal development. Whether you are an inspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business professional, or just someone looking to improve your life, the Success Secret podcast is for you. My goal is to bring you valuable insights and inspiration that will help you achieve your own success in business and life. So get ready to learn and be inspired. The Success Secret podcast starts now. In this episode of the Success Secret podcast, I'm joined with John Graham to talk about the root and solution for anxiety. John is a 3 times USA memory champions, a Grandmaster of Memory, an entrepreneur, and mentors high performance, including a world record holder and national memory champion. He overcame daily panic attacks and decades of anxiety by using unconventional methods to release suppressed emotions and release the control conditioning of his mind. He mentors high achievers and helps them release the anxiety and panic attacks for good. John, welcome to this episode of the Success Secret podcast.
Hussein, I'm happy to be here, happy to share and dive in.
Awesome to have you here with me. But first of all, because this is the Success Secret podcast, and I would say you are a 3 time US memory champion, and you help other people also with their peak human potential to achieve more. What does success means to you, and what do you see other people have certain misconceptions around success?
It's a really big question. I used to believe success was all about like attainment and just reaching the peak of something, right? Lots of money, lots of fame, a pedestal, an achievement, an award. I've got 3 trophies behind me. That a lot of people's minds is success. But when I started achieving those things, Hussein, and getting to the top and winning trophies, I realized I wasn't fully fulfilled. I always wanted more.
Yeah.
And so that definition of success really faltered and failed for me. I had to figure out why I wasn't feeling fulfilled on the inside. So success to me is learning how to feel fulfilled on the inside. And that's an internal drive. That's an internal attainment that you can't achieve using your external world.
So speaking of success, and you yourself had, let's say, I would say maybe issues with anxiety and panic attacks, which is not something any human should take slightly. It's big issues and we should solve them. So do you think that in general, we as a humans, when we are looking to achieve more in our business or in our lives and start thinking about everything that could happen, that could not, the things that could not happen, things that we are afraid of, things that we are not afraid of, all these things are the root of anxiety? Or do you think that from your experience, there are different things more than what the eye would see, I would say?
Yeah, it goes way deeper than that. And it's labeled as mental health, as you know. So people try to treat it with the mind mentally. Back in 2019, I was training for the World Championships. And I would wake up really excited to train because I wanted to be in the top 10 of the world. But I couldn't train because I had so much brain fog. Like mentally, I was just exhausted at 10 in the morning. And it was like I short-circuited. I had no energy, no clarity to train. So I thought, okay, I just need some supplement. I just need to go for a walk and clear my mind. And none of that worked. And, tried all the meditations, tried all the therapies and the rewiring and the reframing and the limiting belief stuff. And none of that worked. And only to realize the real root of anxiety, brain fog, overwhelm, all of that, it's an emotional root issue. The reason we experience these things is because we have massive amounts of suppressed emotions stored in our nervous system. So when I learned that, I was stopped treating it with my mind. It was through force and all these tactics. And I learned how to release the suppressed emotions that were limiting me and causing these things.
Let me get this. So you had to get the idea, you had these kind of anxiety attacks while you were doing, let's say, or being a USA memory champion, or before that?
I started noticing back I noticed like I would freeze up. I noticed I would be like a deer in the headlights when I would compete, and it got worse. So to answer your question, I had a panic attack at the 2019 World Championship. So that was right after my first championship in 2018. So between my first and my second and third, I was having lots of panic attacks, and it affected how I performed. It affected how I trained, how I showed up in the world. So it was right in the middle of all of that.
How did you approach this? Like a lot of people, when we talk about this, you have good thought about maybe taking a walk, maybe taking some medication or whatever. And I'm sure that when we think about medication, we should have some kind of prescription for that in general. So, how did you find the way through to solve your anxiety? Did you through or do meditations? Did you do certain exercises as of sports? Because when we talk about you also being a memory champion, it is about that you are working your brain. It's like the brain is, I would say, like the muscles. When you train the muscles harder, they get bigger. And also when you train your brain, it gets, I don't know, maybe not bigger, but I think there are a lot of scientific studies that the brain keeps generating more, let's say, cells or brain cells that grow more and more, I think, the more that we learn more, I guess. So how did that go?
Yeah, you're very much right. I very much activated the right side of my brain when I learned memory techniques, harmonizing creativity, visualization, things like that with the left brain. That's how I memorize. But as far as anxiety, right, I realized I tried all the meditations. I tried all the self-care, relaxing things, the supplements, and that doesn't get to the root of the anxiety. Because again, it's a mental issue, or it's an emotional root issue. The mental certainly gets inflamed, but it's deeper than that, right? So what I realized was, number one, when I was having brain fog, was that the only way to move through the brain fog was to have a fully relaxed and regulated nervous system. Because when you have anxiety, you're extremely tense. Like you're uptight, your shoulders are tight, you got tension headaches, you're straining, you're always on the go, you're always active, always like switched on. Like think of it like a light switch. Your nervous system's always switched on. You're always in do, think, go mode, but it needs to be shut off to regulate. So I had to learn how to fully let go of the muscles and the deep tensions in my body to relax and regulate. And then the brain fog started to go away. So I thought, oh, good, I'm in the clear, but it kept coming back. So I realized a couple of years later that I had all of these suppressed emotions inside of me that were activating. You know, like anytime you get frustrated or annoyed or feel anxious, right? It's not because of the stimulus in the world. Like, let's say you get an email that you don't like, right? Or an email that frustrates you, you're worried about. So you're starting to think ahead. The email that you're ruminating on has nothing to do with your anxiety. It poked something inside of you, an emotion from the past, provoked it that was not processed. So what I realized is basically, Hussein, every single thing in our life, every moment that was uncomfortable in the past that we didn't fully process and we pushed away, all of that is still inside of us, unprocessed, suppressed. And it activates, it causes the anxieties, the dreads, the heart palpitations, the brain fogs, and, you know, it affects the physical. So any mental or body technique like working out doesn't get to the root of it. The only thing that can do this is an emotional release. So when I learned that, I said, number one, how do I release this stuff? Like, where is this in my body and how do I release it? So on top of having a regulated nervous system and relaxed, I had to learn, number one, there's two things here. Number one, I had to learn how to release emotions, negative emotions, as they were happening. Because here's the thing with meditation and therapy. Like, yeah, you can meditate for 30 minutes a day or have a therapy session for 30 minutes. Maybe you have a release. Maybe you're calm and good, but then you enter the world and you snap right back into your old conditioning and patterns and you keep piling on all of these emotions throughout the day and suppressing them. So I had to learn, while I'm feeling anxious, while I'm having that email that annoys me, how do I release and process that emotion out while it's happening so I can release the steam as it's happening through my day? And then the second thing is I realize there's boulders inside of us. These are things from the past that really affected us in our childhood or in adulthood. You know, heartbreaks, betrayals, um, anything like that can really store inside of us and affect us, cause anxiety. So I had to learn how do you access those without using therapy methods like using the mind to dig in the past, because digging the past will only strengthen those neural pathways and make them worse. How do you access those emotions and release them without going through the mind? And that was the journey that I took. And it took me I went from having daily, multiple panic attacks a day to no panic attacks, no anxiety after about 2 months of doing this. After spending, 20 plus years of my life living with anxiety on and off. So it was a pretty dramatic turnaround once I got to the root of it.
Because when I see, for example, your story, when we say on the other side you are a memory champion, I'm not a doctor, but from the outlook of things, like if we are talking about, for example, past bad things that happened to a human being, and you are being, for example, a memory champion, that means that you have a lot of memory in your brain. So adding all that up is not going to erase the past. I would assume maybe it will add more things to it. So your brain gets, I don't know, overwhelmed with stuff. Maybe I'm not sure about this word, but it could be. Maybe this is how I would see it personally. So with that thing, did you think you being a three-time now memory champion also helped you in a way to remove, let's say, maybe some of the past things that happened, or do you think that also keeping, let's say, studying or memorizing things and being in that place now is not really the issue? It's actually about the emotion that you mentioned only.
It's a really good question because a lot of people assume I have like a natural ability to remember everything, right? And that's actually not the case. I don't have a natural photographic memory or anything like that. I learned techniques about 10 years ago. So even after I was in school. So all of this is technique and training. But to answer your question, yeah, emotion plays a very critical role in memory. So when I'm learning to memorize lists of numbers or words or names or things for competition, I'm using emotion and feel, not just like the boring part of our brain. People think memorizing is boring, but it's really activating the right side, the creative side, making it juicy, emotional, and feeling it, and to remember massive amounts of information. So that ability, for me, I think it helped me learn to access the past and the feeling. Because if I can memorize lots of information, I can also forget lots of information. So like, just like Michael Jordan made probably more shots than almost anyone in NBA history, he also missed more shots than everyone. And so in the same realm, I can memorize way more than anyone in the world, but I also have the skill to forget more than anyone in the world because of the amount that I memorize and let go. So I think it's very valid that I know how to access normal emotions, normal memories, and release them from the past.
How focus itself plays a role in you being a memory champion? Also, does it play a role in you thinking in your when you were like having anxiety and panic attacks? Did you keep like your mind thinking or focusing on these kind of bad things? And this is, do you think, one of the things that are, like you mentioned here, you could memorize something new and also could have the ability to erase, let's say. So now, could you also have this ability to have something new on your brain and have the ability to focus on it, and also to have the focus to remove other things, which also could be good for you in general?
Yeah, I see the question. So let's do a before and after. When I first started training to hack my brain, learn memory techniques, right? Everyone teaches, oh, block out your distractions to focus, right? Well, that causes a lot of issues. That causes a lot of suppression. So if I'm conditioning myself to focus, to block out internal noise and voice in my head and heart palpitations and excitement, what I'm doing is suppressing. Like I'm pushing things away internally. I'm actually working harder to focus because inside my mind, I'm almost like doing this, like pushing things away as I'm trying to focus. And that causes a lot of mental effort. So now what I do, what I teach people it's actually very counterintuitive. In order to, like, when I'm on stage, when I was in front of 400 million people in China, like memorizing. I didn't block out distractions. I don't block out distractions anymore when I focus. What I mean by that is I actually train. When I'm training, I'll put loud things in my ear, like a loud podcast. I'll do 20 push-ups. I'll get up and I'll start training. So my heart's racing. I got noise in my ear. I don't want to do it, but I still push through. So like I'm allowing everything in to wash over me. The noise, the feeling, the sensation of my heart, the breath, the voice in my head, all of it. I'm not pushing anything away. So internally, I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting it wash over me. Because when you do that, when you let it go, you're allowing stuff to process through the way a human is supposed to process things. Right. So I train people not to push things away, but to allow everything in. Because when you allow everything in, thoughts and feelings and emotions, they process through and they release out. But when you fight them, that causes, like with anxiety, for example, that's why stuff keeps coming back and you're haunted by thoughts, is because you keep pushing it away. You're not allowing it to process through.
Well, that's interesting. So, like, we are, or we should, like, let things process in our brains in order for us to solve these issues. Because if we are keeping blocking them outside, we would actually focus on them. Like, uh, if we are like wanting not, if we don't like something about ourselves and we keep focusing on it, we will also keep having that thing. We should focus on the other side and let us embrace that thing so we can have a process or proceed to more different things. Like having us process these things will actually help us not blocking them away.
So if you have an extreme case of self-doubt, when you're like, you feel a lot of apathy or you're procrastinating, right? And you're in your head, you're feeling horrible. Instead of trying to feel better, like listen to a podcast or go for a walk or work out, there's nothing wrong with those things, by the way. But if you do that, you're bypassing and shoving the stuff back down. So like people think, oh, if I focus on it, I'm going to bring in more into my life and manifest more. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because it's a suppressed emotion. It needs to be seen for you to be released. Then you expand. I tell people all the time, the suppressed stuff, the nasty stuff in you that keeps haunting you, that's the juice that you want. That's how you expand. If you fully experience that, you almost get new information and new intelligence that processes and washes over your DNA and your being to up-level your life, because you start seeing things clearer. You start taking bigger actions because you let that process through. So if anyone's experiencing this, I'd recommend to fully relax your body, to let that feeling do whatever it wants to do, and to do that with no mental effort. No, don't do anything with your mind, but let it be. And if you do that more and more and you're devoted to that, this is what I teach people how to do this, it will release. And when this suppressed emotion releases, it releases forever and you expand.
That's a great idea. Because when we expand, we can take in more. I guess this is the general idea of things.
Your
And
capacity expands very much. Yeah.
and when we take more onto things, certain things might be erased by itself at a certain point or certain stage, for example. So this could be a good way actually to accept things, not to keep blocking things away. So, John, what would you say the worst advice that you have ever received in regards to, let's say, solving your issue with panic attacks, anxiety, or being a memory champion 3 times?
Man, I don't know what the worst advice is, but I'm just going to take a stand here. And like, if you're suffering from anxiety and panic, it's not a mental health issue. It's an emotional root issue. So the advice to try to calm down when you're having these things is really bad advice, because, and I know this is controversial, but we want to be able to experience that feeling in order for it to release. So if you're trying to calm down, you're bypassing all of it and you're suppressing it further. You're essentially kicking the can down the road to experience, and it's going to get louder and louder and louder. So any type of mental therapy to dig in your past, or any type of meditation to calm yourself down, is not accessing that energy. So in essence, that's why people continue to have anxiety and continue to take pills, is because they don't know, and I didn't know either how, that this was the root. So I would say this is an emotional suppressed issue, and all the mental techniques and even the physical, like working out, will not get to the depths of where you need to go with it.
We definitely all have certain issues that we work with, whether we are children or as even adults. There should, for absolutely, for sure, be certain circumstances or certain accidents or certain encounters, I would say maybe, that we always have in the back of our heads, I would say. So it is important to try to solve these things, because when we talk about anxiety and panic attacks, it is something that affects the human. I think maybe you can't sleep well, multiple things. So I would say, for example, you need to sleep well. So these are important issues to solve. And what you're mentioning here is a new perspective into things, because it could be like it, like for example, walking or meditation. It could be like some kind of like a temporary maybe solution to it, because it's eventually doing certain things or activity in regards to, let's say, maybe try to forget or put it in a layer below, but putting it in a layer below the surface is also, it is also there. It's not the solution for it. So that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you push things away or fight it, you're keeping it inside of you. So the only way through anxiety and panic and overwhelm is through it, experiencing it fully so it can release for good.
Well, that's awesome, John. We should also always, as business owners, also as entrepreneurs, at the end of the day, try to find solution for the problems that people have, which is you did. You have the, let's say, I would say, you've been through it yourself for some time, and you have done certain things like you achieve being a memory champion for 3 times, which is something that is, I would say, that's a great thing to have and do. And it's not easy. Not everyone can put certain, let's say, maybe goals to achieve. This is one of the important things in for us as humans to do. And yeah, and you did it, and you got yourself out of the place that you would say bad to yourself, and you didn't want to have it anymore. You didn't want to have anxiety, panic attacks, these type of things that are hindering, could hinder your success in whatever endeavor that you are pursuing. So thank you, John, for joining me for this episode of the Success Secret podcast.
Thank you, Hussein. It was a pleasure to go deep with you on this. Thanks for asking the questions.